is playing, you've got to spread it around a little bit. That's when the Bulls got really good, when Michael Jordan realized he just has to get other players involved. It's a secret to success.
All right, Anthony Simons led the way off the bench with 16 points, but Godfather, he got it done on both ends. What'd you see from Ant on Friday?
Well, I think he's continuing to improve, Chad. I'd just like to see him get consistent playing time to know what to expect, because he sits entire games very often, doesn't play, and then you throw him out there and expect him to produce, and that's very difficult for young players, especially one like him who didn't play college basketball. So he's really learning on the fly, and I'm really impressed with his improvement over the last couple of years.
Also impressive, too, you've always told me that players, they like to know what to expect, whether it's as a starter or off the bench, game to game, so they can get into a rhythm. He doesn't know. He's in the rotation. He's out of the rotation. He doesn't know when those minutes are going to come, and Dame went down. He gets a chance to play big minutes and produces. I mean, does that show that he's maturing a little bit to be able to take on that role and step in and deliver like that?
Well, I think he is maturing, Chad. I don't think there's any question about that. He's really learning the ropes, learning when to take advantage of opportunities in terms of putting the ball on the floor, going to the basket, which he's good at and doesn't do enough of, and then hitting the open threes when he has them. I think he's going to be a good player. My confidence in his ability and his growth has not changed at all. I still believe he's going to be a very good player.
All right, one of the great things to come out of this trip, the fact that Damian Lillard, who's been battered with an assortment of injuries, and the latest being a hamstring that is sore, he didn't play on Friday. He's not going to play today. So if he plays on Tuesday, Dwight, that's almost an entire week off where he gets a chance to rest. How critical is that for the Blazers?
Well, it's very critical, and I think we've talked all season about the need to give him rest so that he's ready to go for the playoffs. Now, the one concern I have, Chad, it's rest, yes. I'm concerned, though, he's sitting out a week for a team who doesn't do load management, doesn't really believe it, and a coach who's going to play him any chance he can. I just hope Damian Lillard isn't seriously hurt with what he's going through right now. I hope that when he's, give him another game or two if you have to, but when he comes back, he better be healthy.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. The Blazers now 3-0 on the year without Dame in the starting lineup. Further evidence that you can win games by giving your star player rest from time to time, because these other guys get a chance to step in and step up. To just assume you're going to lose the game without him, I think is crazy. So I'm hoping that this type of activity that we saw on Friday, maybe today, and all of a sudden you're 4-0 without Dame, encourages the proper approach when it comes to his health as they move forward, right?
Yeah, you'd like to think that it's kind of a test case and they're learning something from this, because we need to see him as they get down to the end of the season to get even more days off, to just make sure that when the playoffs start, when the ball goes up, he's rested and ready.
Hey, Rip City, download and subscribe to the Talkin' Blazers podcast with Dan Sheldon and Channing Frye. This week, the guys discuss LaMarcus Aldridge's legacy, the play-in tournament, and the importance of getting Dame some much-needed rest.
But Channing, if they didn't have this 7 through 10 nonsense, they'd at least feel pretty good about their lot in life. Now they're fighting to stay in the top 6. And so Lillard's under pressure not to take that week off, because they need every single victory to stay ahead of the Mavericks and stay out of this dopey play-in situation.
At the end of the day, CJ McCollum hasn't played half the season. Nurk hasn't played almost half the season. You got to trust in those two dudes can carry you for 4 games. 4 games off will do him wonders. If you're 6, 7, 8, and you got to win 1 or 2 more games, but you have a healthy, refreshed Damian Lillard, I'm taking those chances. You got to look at the big picture, right? You're trying to avoid it by cashing all your guys out now, especially with all these injuries. Health, and just give yourself a chance. Are the Blazers, out of those 4 teams in that position, are they the best team? Yes. So take your chances. Make sure your guys are healthy. Make sure your bench is in shape. Make sure you're ready to go. But what's it going to do at, okay, you're 6, but Damian Lillard's gassed, CJ's gassed, Nurk's gassed, and then you got to go play whoever's 5 right now. It changes every single day, right? You got to play a fired up Denver team, right? And you're just like, come on, man. Like, you don't want that. You want them healthy, right? You'd rather be 7 and then play the Suns at 2, but you're all absolutely healthy.
All right, time to play a little make or miss with the Godfather, Dwight James. Dwight, number 1 on the list here. Dame's health is more important than avoiding the play-in.
It's a no-brainer, Chad. Of course it is. His health is paramount. If you don't have him healthy, you're not going anywhere anyway. What is the point? I mean, this is such an obvious argument, and it seems like we have to have this discussion every year because every year before this, he's been dog-tired going into the playoffs. I don't understand it. Now, I will differ from Channing in one way. I do think it's important to stay out of the play-in. That is just such a crapshoot. One game and you're out. I think, though, that they can rest him and still stay out of the play-in. They can still be in 6th place and give him the rest along the way. I believe that.
Yes, and you and I have talked about the dip over the last couple of weeks in his production. It's not because he's in a slump. I mean, it can all be, taken back to the injuries, right? You got the hamstring, the shoulder, the core. They all add up, and then you add in the minutes and the stress that he's under when he's playing out there on the floor 35, 36, 38, 40 minutes a night. I mean, it has an impact.
He's hurt and he's tired. That's a bad combination. And when you're hurt and tired, your performance is going to drop off. There's just no doubt about it.
All right, next up, make or miss. Clutch defense from the Trailblazers is sustainable.
Well, Chad, this whole concept of clutch defense just kind of makes me laugh. It's a joke, folks. This isn't real. The idea that, you don't have to play you can be 29th in the league in defensive rating, but if for the last 5 minutes of a close game you turn it on, you'll win games. No. Part of the problem is to be a clutch situation, it has to be within 5 points with 5 minutes to go? Well, the problem is they don't play good enough defense against the good teams to be that close in the last 5 minutes. So those aren't clutch situations. And frankly, they're not playing good defense in those last 5 minutes either. So I just think it's kind of a crutch for not defending well throughout games, throughout the season.
Well, the good news for you, Dwight, I'm a clutch host, so I apologize for the first 15 minutes of the show, but I guarantee you the final 2 minutes are going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, they better be.
All right, the other good thing for Portland tonight, based on who the Hornets are going to play or not play, this is another game that they can win, right? Just like you said about San Antonio, they have been struggling. You got to win this game today, with or without Dame, Rondé in the starting lineup or not. You got to go out there and get it done.
No question. We had the shot of Terry Rozier walking into the arena at the top of the show. That's the only starter you're going to recognize, Blazer fans. This is another one of those games where one team's going one direction, other team's going the other direction. Portland, last I looked, is only like a 4-point favorite in this game. I don't understand that. This is a game the Trailblazers come out, mean business, get it done, and even rest the guys who are starting this game.
Showing great athleticism on both ends of the floor. What are you seeing from Norm?
Yeah, I really like him, Chad. I did not know he was this good. I knew he was a good player, but we don't get to see those guys enough, and seeing them in person is so much different than watching them on television. This guy can really play, and he's a smart player, good at both ends of the floor, plays hard every night for you. I think he's a guy they'd love to keep. I just think he's going to be a hard one to keep, Chad. He gets out on that open market, and he's a guy that's always been an underdog. He's always been a guy that, I don't know, G League. But he's built himself into an NBA player. Those kind of guys usually like to get out on that free agent market and see how much they can get.
He's going to make what? CJ money or close to it?
Close
somewhere in
to
that
it,
category?
probably $20 million maybe.
But Dwight, this goes back to Paul Allen's decision to really change the way that they, fill the locker room, right? They wanted to go character and really evaluate differently. Norman Powell, he checks all the boxes. Not only has he got all the talent you talked about, but the championship pedigree you mentioned when he came over right after the trade was made. You see the way he operates. Like, that's the type of guy who has an impact on his veteran teammates, but also the youngsters, because he's not going to be all about the talk. He's just going to go out there and work hard and make plays. And I think that's the type of player that teammates respect, man, because they can see it too, just like we do.
Yeah, I agree with that, Chad. And this is why they try to create a player's culture in Portland. This is a player who's been exposed to Portland's culture for half a season, basically. Not quite half a season, but close. So he knows what this team and franchise are about and what the city's all about. It makes it easier to keep him than if he were a free agent and you're going out and trying to sign him. So they do have a little edge in that regard, I think. If he likes the coach, if he likes his teammates, if he likes the city, you got a chance. You really do. You have a fighting chance. It worked with Rodney Hood. That's the same way it works. So we'll see if it works with Norman Powell.
All right, the Blazers return home for a battle against the Los Angeles Clippers Tuesday night. Coverage begins at 4:30 with game day, followed by warm-up and pregame. Tip is at 7. And don't forget to stick around after the game. For Blazers Outsiders, it's all right here on NBC Sports Northwest. You're home for the Trailblazers all season long. All right, Dwight, let's take a look at the upcoming matchups presented by A. When you're ready, we're ready. Let's A just off I-5 at exit 16. This is a big week for Portland, Dwight. You get Charlotte today, like you said, a game that they have to win. But then you come back home, back-to-back Clippers, Nuggets, and then 2 games against Memphis.
At the very minimum, Chad, they've got to go 2-2 on the next 4. And I think they can do that. They've got to get today. That's a big game for them. You've got to take care of business against a team that's not very good. Then you got to light up Memphis twice in a row. And I think that, and then, okay, you get one of those 2 wins over the good teams coming into town, and you're going to be okay. And I don't think it's that big a deal to knock off one of those teams above you in the standings one more time. I mean, they're 1-8 now against them. Time to get number 2 against a good team.
No doubt. All right, you mentioned today being a winnable game. Well, there's a good reason why. Let's take a look at the Hornets injury report. Look at all those guys who are out. Devontae Graham. It looks like P.J. Washington will play. Malik Monk, Gordon Hayward, and LaMelo Ball. All out.
Yeah, and Monk's been having a really good year, and everybody knows LaMelo Ball is on his way to Rookie of the Year when he gets hurt, and Gordon Hayward, a renaissance in Charlotte, playing very well. Without those guys, they're in real trouble.
Well, and the part that's a real shame for all of us is, you got a chance to see LaMelo Ball when they came to town earlier this year. You were impressed, and I'm just bummed we don't get to see him play because he's so much more than I thought, and he's got a great handle, fun to watch.
Yeah, I admit the same thing, Chad. I did not expect, I thought he would be a guy who shot too much and didn't shoot very well. I knew he could pass. I didn't think he'd be passing as much as he is, and I certainly didn't expect him to make shots like he is. He's going to be a really good player.
All right, it's time for our bite of the night. Why are we having a happy Rondé? Here's Coach Stotts.
Well, we just signed him to the second 10-day, and with Dame out, it opened up an opportunity and see what he can do. So it's an opportunity for him and gives us a chance to see what he can do. But also, I think he can help us. I think he can defend, he can rebound, provide some energy to the starting unit.
All right, Godfather. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson's going to start. What's going on here?
Well, what's going on is he signed his second 10-day, and pretty soon they're going to have to make a decision on whether they should sign him for the rest of the year. I believe Terry Stotts really wants him on the roster. He loves veteran players. He's putting him into a situation tonight against some not really great Charlotte players. He'll start. He'll get a chance to be comfortable. He's giving him a great chance to look good tonight. It's almost like it's a tryout. Personally, I would rather see Harry Giles get this opportunity, but Jefferson's getting it, and that's the way it is.
All right. How does that work with Coach Stotts? Does he go to Derrick Jones Jr., explain the situation, or is that a discussion they don't even have? How does that work?
Well, I would hope you went to Derrick Jones Jr. and said, look, we gotta find out about this guy. Is he going to be able to help us or not? So tonight we're going to do this. Because really, that's Derrick Jones' spot. And it was his spot for the first half of the year, and it was his spot in San Antonio the other night. So I would expect him to be disappointed not to be starting tonight.
Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for my favorite part of the show. Ingredients to victory brought to you by Papa John's. Dwight, what are your ingredients to a Trailblazers victory today in Charlotte?
Well, I'm going to go real simple tonight because I'm a simple guy, Chad. Get more shots. Take more shots than Charlotte. Because if you take more, you'll make more. That's the big thing. You can't give Charlotte second chance points on turnovers or on offensive rebounds. If you take care of business in those 2 areas, you will get more shots, and you'll certainly make more shots. But, you know, you got to defend these guys, and they are known for being unselfish and moving the ball, and that's a key against Portland.
All right, so normally when you go into a game like this where your opponent has so many key players out, you might take your foot off the gas and maybe lose focus a little bit, but that may not be the case without Dame, right? Because guys are going to step in and know that they've got to lean on each other and play with energy.
Yeah, and they can't afford to do that. This would be an embarrassing defeat, and really, they don't need any more losses to teams they should beat because the tough games are ahead. So I believe they'll go out and take care of business real fast tonight.
All right, Dwight, as I promised, I've got the clutch host right here. Finishing strong, all right? The pregame show is coming up next. Tip-off Blazers Hornets at
points. I mean, the fact that they turn you over and get out and run is of mild concern in this game.
All right, let's bring in Jordan and Lamar. Guys, it's a matchup tonight versus the Hornets. What can we expect to see? What are your thoughts?
Well, this is a Charlotte team dealing with a lot of injuries. LaMelo Ball was in the middle of a Rookie of the Year campaign. He's out with a fractured wrist. Gordon Hayward, he's out until the end of April. Then a couple of other names that might not play, but this is a young, hungry, athletic team, Lamar. They've lost 4 straight. They are still in the hunt for a play-in spot, and they need a win desperately.
They got some guys that are still trying to make a name for themselves in the league. And sometimes those kind of players can be dangerous because they're going to put their best foot forward. This is just one of 72 for those guys. This is a chance. And that's the case for Vernon Carey Jr., who is coming off a game against Brooklyn in which he gave them 21 points. And he did it from the outside, inside, turnaround, jump shots, all of that. So it still kind of remains to be seen, Jordan, what he's capable of. That guy might be able to go off for 30. You never know. You know Rozier can. Terry Rozier, 20 points a game, 40% from the three-point line. He's shooting 8 threes a game, so he's doing it on bulk. He's athletic. He defends very aggressively as well, and he's good enough, even without his whole complement of teammates, to win a game for the Hornets. That's a game-winning shot he hit earlier this season. LaMelo Ball grabbing him, and LaMelo's one of those guys who will not be out there, as you said, so it requires other people to step up, like Miles Bridges, who's coming off a career-high 33 points per game. And is this the dunk of the season?
Oh, watch out.
Some say it is. Hard to argue with it, especially when you look at it in slow motion. Clint Capella. Oh.
So the Hornets coming into this game, as we mentioned, have lost 4 straight and down a lot of their offense, but still Bridges and a couple of other pieces, including Rozier, give them plenty of firepower. But last meeting, March 1st, between these two teams, the Melo matchup, the passing of the torch, as many people say. Carmelo Anthony, a season-high 29 points. LaMelo Ball, his second highest scoring outing of the year with 30 points. But as we mentioned, this team that took the first quarter lead over the Nets. They're going to play hard. They're going to play aggressive start to finish, and a team that certainly has a lot to play for this evening.
And Lamar, I mentioned this to Michael earlier. I asked him his thoughts on Rondae Hollis-Jefferson getting the start. What can we expect to see from him in that starting lineup?
I think in a similar fashion that I just spoke about some of those the Hornets players, Rondae's going to go out there and play hard. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to stick with the team in the league, so he's going to play hard. He's a good defender. Coach Holt talked about how the Hornets can get out and run. Rondae's one of those guys that can keep pace with them. So I'm interested to see. But him playing with the group of starters, I think, will make him even better.
Yeah, time now to go around the perimeter. Jordan, starting with you.
Let's look at the backcourt for the Blazers. I've got C.J. McCollum, Norman Powell, and Anthony Simons combining for 50 points. That's just a few points ahead of their season average. I think what we saw from them against San Antonio was terrific. You'll certainly want to replicate that tonight against the Hornets. The Hornets, they've been giving up a lot of three-pointers this season, gave up 21 in that loss to the Nets a few nights ago.
I'm going with a trio as well, but a different group. I'm going with Ennis, Anthony, and Carmelo, Brooke. I think that those three giving you at least 35 points will be enough for the Blazers to get a win.
We gave the Blazers 39 last game, so I like that pick. Michael, what do you got?
Ooh, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to invert the offense. The Blazers have been outside in, been knocking down threes, living off of that. Just 11 made threes against the Spurs. I think it opened the door to points in the paint. The Blazers are last in the league in points in the paint, so I'm out on a limb. 30-plus points in the paint for the Blazers in this one.
I like that. Now, Anthony coming off a fantastic night. He came off the bench and was just awesome for the Blazers last game. Took advantage of his minutes. So tonight, I believe he looks first.
That he'll play the next game, but I was hopeful that he would play tonight as well. So we'll just see how it is when was that Tuesday.
The last time you faced Charlotte, you got the win, but a lot of injuries with this team. Only 2 of the same starters that you faced last time. How does that affect your game plan?
Well, we don't know who's going to play right now. There are a couple questionable guys, so we'll see who plays for them. But a lot of it is just about us. We have to do what we do well. Obviously, with Dame out, puts more responsibility on CJ. Anthony Simons will get another opportunity tonight, and we got to defend. They play a small lineup. They play an open style. They pass the ball. They move a lot. So the defense will be challenging.
Yeah, you just mentioned it. Even though there might be some different personnel, is this the team that still plays fast and assists well?
Yeah, they do. Jim Borrego, the coach, does a really good job of getting their guys to move the ball on offense. They play up tempo. There's a lot of cutting, sharing the ball. I think they're second in assists. So staying locked in for the whole possession is going to be important.
Thank you so much, Coach. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, Brooklyn.
As we've talked about a couple times this season, some guys sitting for different reasons tonight. Only 2 of the same starters that the Blazers saw last time they faced the Hornets. How do you prepare for something like that, Michael?
Well, with the Hornets, Brooke, they do things defensively that are different than most teams in the league. If you remember, they zone pressed the Blazers almost the entire second half in that first matchup. So it's not about their personnel. It's about their game plan. They're going to change their defense. They're going to play zone. They're going to zone press. They're going to trap in an effort to speed up the Blazers and turn the Blazers over. So it's about taking care of the basketball more than anything against this Hornet team.
And as Terry Stotts continues to stay, they're focusing on themselves as well. The roundtable. So no Dame tonight. Didn't play in the last game either, but CJ and Norman Powell definitely stepped up in his absence. CJ finishing with 29. Wow. And of course, Norman Powell with a big night. He had 22, I do believe. And it's just been nice to see the way they've been able to step up without Dame. Looking at the numbers, like I just mentioned, I already took away the point, so you can't talk about that, Michael. But what did you like about the other stats?
Oh, I like everything else. I mean, I like the field goal percentage. They shot nearly 50%. They both knocked down a couple of threes and distributed the basketball. And they'll have to be playmakers again in this game, Brooke.
All right, Jordan Lamar, thank you so much for joining us once again. Jordan, starting with you, what have you liked about the way that CJ has been playing? And, of course, last game in Dame's absence, but just this season as a whole.
Well, one thing that I really love about CJ McCollum was the three-point volume that he's increased this year. He made a point about that early in the season. He was shooting 4 more threes per game. So now that, coupled with his already great court vision and decision-making, makes him a total and complete offensive package. We've known that, but he's expanding on his game year after year. And in these situations during the year, when Damian Lillard does miss time, which is rare, you feel like there's no drop-off as far as the Blazers getting in and out of their offense because of how competent CJ is at running the point when he needs to.
And Lamar, obviously, I mean, CJ started off this season so very hot. Unfortunately, had that injury, but he's come back. And have you been impressed with the way he's actually been playing at the same level?
Brooke, I have been, and excuse me in case you see me ducking and dodging. We have a fly in the studio. It is circling. It is above the heads. It's around. So I'm gonna try to answer the question. Can you repeat it for me one time?
No, all I'm
I have
doing
one
is
eye on you and one on the fly. Come one more time for me, Brooke. What you got for me?
Oh, I just want to see the fly. CJ, the way he's been playing as of late, you know, he started off the season so hot, and he's still playing great.
Yes, he is. CJ, the shark CJ. It's a dangerous fly, I tell you that. The thing that I really like about CJ, Brooke, is that he doesn't look like a 2-guard trying to be a point guard. Sometimes that's what happens when a guy has to step into that position. But, like, his decision-making is so sharp. He's making point guard decisions. He's thinking about, how do I get all my teammates involved at the right time? He's picking and choosing. He's playing with that situational awareness that Coach Holden always attributes to Dame. So that's not easy to do, to transition so seamlessly and make it look so natural as CJ does.
I'm sure what you said was spectacular. I was just looking for the fly.
I don't know what I said. I just was talking, and I hope it was coherent.
I think it was great. You got something, Michael?
Oh, I just want to know if it's a fly or a bee.
I think it's a bee.
No, it's a fly.
You think it's a fly?
It's a fly. It's a fly. There's no buzz to it.
If I get stung?
Okay. Brooke.
It is funny that you were playing the Hornets. Okay, go ahead.
Brooke, we have fans. We got a basketball game. Bring us back.
All right, let's talk about Norman then. How impressed have you been with the way he has really fit in with this squad so far?
I've been just very impressed because his versatility. He's able to